Welcome, everybody, to the last concert in this year's series between Tandem Press and the Jazz Studies program at the Mead-Witter School of Music, all part of the University of Wisconsin-Madison. We're really thrilled to be presenting this jazz series, and we're delighted to welcome all of you, our audience here, and those of you who are listening to us live on the web. The Tandem Press Jazz Series is made possible with the incredible support of the Brittingham Fund, and the live streaming is brought to you by Audio for the Arts with the most generous financial support of Kathy Chazen and Larry Miller. The program could not have happened without Johannes Wallmann, the John and Carolyn Peterson Chair in Jazz Studies, and his colleagues, John Schaefer, Jonathan Greenstein, Nick Moran, and Les Thimmig. I
haven't played a note yet.
I also want to thank the incredible music students standing behind me here who will be playing for you tonight. The program tonight will feature the Jazz Composers Group led by Les Thimmig. During the intermission, our curators and master printers will give you tours of the studio. And for those of you at home, there will be a short interview on the workings of Tandem Press. We're particularly honored this evening on Gallery Night to have this concert, but also to have a new exhibition by one of our fantastic artists, Suzanne Caparel. She will also be attending the show, so you may see her at the exhibition. She just arrived from upstate New York last night. Please enjoy the program, and thank you for coming tonight, where there are 70 other events happening in Madison for Gallery Night. We really, really appreciate your support. Over to you, Les.
Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you, thank you. And good, I was about to say good evening, but not yet, not yet, okay. So always a pleasure to be back at Tandem, where this is the only place we ever play where we set up and play straight into a wall. The first time we came here, we walked up the stairs and said, oh my God, no, this can't be. It turns out it's some of the best sound in town, beloved. The joke was on us. So as previously advertised, we are the UW Jazz Composers Group, so named because the repertoire we put out in our public performances consists solely of music composed and otherwise written by members of our UW Jazz community. And we try to put the emphasis as much as possible on the students involved in the program. And we're going to prove that right now by playing composition. I think that's it. Yeah, I have to look myself. Written by our very talented pianist, Mr. Tyler Lustig. He calls this, That's what you love about show business. He hasn't played a note in the piece yet already. You'll love it. Right? That's why people have big egos. All right. So he titles this one, Bury the Hatchet. Once again, Tyler Listick. All right, continuing on. Those were a couple of heartily rousing tunes. Let's slow the pace down a little bit and do something that we don't do all that often. We sometimes once per performance. I mean, this group, we're all about the group thing here. The four horns up front here, we usually operate as a unit and so on, but we do enjoy once in a while singling out one member of the group and shining the bright light on that individual. We're going to do that right now. Our trumpet player, who actually is going to be playing the flugelhorn on this tune, Mr. Jack Mulvey, will be featured on a piece of music we call Heart of Diamonds. Jack Mulvey. Jack Mulvey, yeah, I'm on. Indeed, indeed. Okay. So that's a little bit of a workout for Jack. You know, the playing in the old-fashioned big bands back in the 30s and the 40s was a lot of hard work. You know, the people in the horn section, especially the brass players, they needed a rest once in a while. So there was always conveniently placed one piece of music that would give everybody a little bit of a rest. The horns didn't have to work that hard. Maybe other people did most of the work. So we have a few like that we play too. So we'll honor Jack's hard work on that last tune and play one now. And oh, again? Oh, wow. He must have really torn it up. All right. So this is just simple. This is some blues. And the thing is, we have just a little bit of writing in this, and all the writing comes at the end. So we just start out, we just play some solos and have fun. We don't even know who's going to play the first solo or how long it's going to last or anything like that. Everybody gets a chance to relax a little bit. So this is, by way of a title, it so happens this piece of music is in the key of A flat major for all of you music theory students. All right? That's fact number one. And fact number two is that it's not very populated with the written music, not as much as the last couple of things you just heard. So we put those two facts together, and we titled this one, Four Flats Unfurnished. Here we are. All right. So we have one more tune in this first set, first of two. You're not allowed to leave. We'll take a short intermission and be right back. It's one of our new ones, and kind of mixes up a Brazilian beat and something from the Caribbean islands and a little swinging and all kinds of stuff. And it's and the title, it's sort of like what some of us do at you go home at night and turn on the TV and you see what happened that day or maybe an hour ago or something. You say, just imagine. That's what, just imagine.
So I want to thank Les Thimmig for this fantastic first half, and a special thanks to all you amazing students. They bring joy to our lives every time they play here. And of course, at Tandem Press, we also involve students in everything that we do. So we are so happy and honored to have you all playing here with us. And I hope that you're not having to do any exams or anything this weekend.
Oh, no.
Oh, good. Okay, so it is now the intermission. Please help yourself to some more food, have something to drink, and the curators and the master printers will be absolutely delighted to give you a tour through the studio. And as I said earlier, we have an exhibition in our new gallery by Suzanne Caparel. So enjoy, and we'll see you back here in about 12 minutes. Okay.
This is Elizabeth Jean Younce, and artist and MFA candidate. Thanks so much for doing this, by the way.
Thank you.
So, Elizabeth, we met a couple of Tandem Press jazz shows ago, and now I'm seeing her artwork and having a chance to talk to her a little bit. And it's kind of neat because you're becoming more awesome, like the more I know about you. So first of all, tell me what it means that you are an MFA candidate. Where are you at, and what does that mean?
So I finished my bachelor's degree at the Savannah College of Art and Design, and I came straight from my BFA to graduate school. I came to the University of Wisconsin-Madison, which Tandem is an affiliate of. This is a 3-year program, and so the way it's structured is that our second year we actually get our Master of Arts, our MA, and our third year we get our MFA, our Master of Fine Arts. So this is my MFA exhibition, my final thesis exhibition.
And you told me earlier that, and let me know if I got this right, that not only does the UW-Madison have the highest rated, should I say, or one of the top, if not the top, printmaking schools in the country, yeah, but also Tandem Press is here, which adds to your experience. So how does Tandem Press enhance your academic experience?
Sure, so Tandem is an affiliate of the university, obviously. So yeah, that is the term that we like to use. It is within the university, but it is also self-sustaining financially, separate from the university. But the great part about it being connected to the university or affiliated with the university is that then students like me have the ability to come here and work at Tandem through the university. And so I actually, in my 3 years here, I've worked at Tandem all 3 years. I volunteered here my first year. I did work study my second year. And then I actually have the PA or project assistant here my third year.
So this is where you actually dig in and get your hands dirty.
Yeah. Definitely. This is where I work in the shop and everything.
Okay. Excellent. Well, so the exhibit is called Bestiary, a Master of Fine Arts thesis exhibition by Elizabeth Jean Younce. Ta-da. So let me just read a couple of sentences from this, which I think are kind of key to understanding what we're about to look at. In the anthropomorphized world of Bestiary, flora and fauna act as surrogates, illustrating certain aspects of the human condition. Drawn from natural history, symbology, Wunderkammers, did I say that right? And feminism, Elizabeth Jean Younce uses the vocabularies of scientific, medical, and children's book illustration to investigate the psychology within coded references and historically loaded images. So there's a lot right there. That's packed. And then just the first part of this paragraph, the key protagonist in this symbolic universe is Cygnus Sapiens, which is a fictional character for which we can be grateful. In the light of a feminist perspective, this swan-human hybrid embodies existentialism through the metaphorical weight of fertility and perseverance. So here it is, a 5-panel work that is the main piece in your exhibition. And then you've got all these sort of micro, you go in with a microscope and focus in on individual creatures, in this thing, which I think is a really great idea. So we'll start here and talk about it. So the first thing, and I love this because I know she's already smiling, because off camera, I asked you, what's the title? And you said, don't ask me that, because it's very complicated. But now you have it all written down. So can you give us the titles?
So just like the piece is separated into 4 segments and then comes together as a whole, the titles also reflect that. So the title of the first panel is A Great Hope Fell. The second is You Heard No Noise. The third is The Ruin Was Within. The fourth is O Cunning Wreck That Told No Tale. And the third is And Let No Witness In.
The fifth.
The fifth. Excuse me, is the fifth is And Let No Witness In.
Okay, and as a whole, should we view this as 5 little vignettes, or as one large story? What's your vision of the whole?
So this is supposed to be seen as one whole story, but one of the reasons that I made this as 5 separate panels was obviously for ease of printing, but also so that they can exist as vignettes. So it is supposed to be able to live kind of in both realms.
Okay. And is it linear in the sense of, is this part of the story happening and then this part and then this part, or are we to view this as, all these things are occurring at once in this world?
It's not necessarily chronological, like you were saying, but there is definitely something that happens when you do look at it from left to right. If you begin to look at the image, you'll see the animals, and the symbology does reflect sort of a more heavenly landscape over on the left side and becomes more hellish on the right.
Ah, interesting. Oh yeah, we do definitely see that. Yeah, this is getting a little more demonic and evil over here. That makes perfect sense. Now tell us about Cygnus sapiens, who this is, am I correct in referring to Cygnus as she?
Sure. So obviously the Cygnus sapiens has female anatomy. Yes. So like I said, the structure of our program here is that our second year we get our Master of Arts, our MA degree, and so you also have a solo exhibition for that. And in my solo exhibition for my MA show, I actually created a fictional museum known as the International Museum of Physiological Anomaly, also known as IMPA. And through IMPA, this is all fictional, we put on an exhibition known as Ernest Younger and the Cygnus Sapiens. So my initials are EY, and Ernest Younger's initials are EY. And he was a fictional scientist who discovers and captures the Cygnus Sapiens. And the museum showed a sculptural version of the Cygnus Sapiens cut in half and splayed on a 1910 embalming table. And it was Ernest Younger's lab scene recreated in the museum space. And then on the other side of the exhibition, this was here in Madison in Commonwealth Gallery. On the other side of the exhibition, there were the rest of Ernest Younger's collection, such as specimens, because part of my research and part of my work is also going out and collecting specimens. So basically my house is full of moths and bones and skulls and all that good, beautiful stuff. But so that is kind of, chronologically, that exhibition happened prior to this exhibition, but this exhibition is actually sort of a prequel to that. And so while I was making that work in that exhibition, I was focusing so much on the Cygnus sapiens' demise, essentially, and how Ernest Younger captured her and then conducted research and experiments on her and was making all of these prints, these sort of like medical illustration prints as research and study of her. So then I decided, for my own sake, I needed to see and feel her in her own environment and in her own space. So this exhibition and this piece in particular is sort of the Cygnus sapiens in her own world.
So Ernest Young, is that the name? Younger. So Ernest Younger, is he more of a mad scientist, like a Dr. Frankenstein, or is he more like an anthropologist who's studying these societies?
Sure. So the way I had written it in the IMPA exhibition was that he is an amateur anthropologist. I wouldn't say he's a mad scientist in the way, in that sort of way, but in a way he kind of is. He doesn't create the Cygnus sapiens, but the whole idea was that he was basically too much of an amateur, and that's what led to the Cygnus sapiens' demise. Because he captured her and decided to conduct all these research and experiments on her without really knowing fully what he was doing. And I feel like that kind of reflects on where I'm at, where I think I'm kind of an amateur entomologist and scientist, and I go out and I find all these specimens and I bring them home, and while I do know how to stretch moths and pin moths and things like that, I wouldn't know what to do necessarily if I made such a grand discovery.
Yeah. Oh wow, this is quite a world. This is an amazing world, and it's so much to take in. We're absolutely not gonna do this justice, on this. So you have to come in to Tandem and take a look at this. But in order to attempt to do a little bit of justice to it, we're gonna move over to Elizabeth and my left, and we're gonna look at a couple of the close-ups of some of the creatures who appear in these 5 panels. So let's head over there. So Elizabeth, let's start with the fox, who is obviously ensnared in some series of ropes, and there are other creatures. It looks like rats tied to it. So, what can you tell us about this character?
Sure. So I'll kind of talk broadly a little bit about the idea going on here with these smaller vignette pieces in relation to the larger piece. So essentially, in Bestiary, I invite you to take a second look at all of the pieces. And so animals like the fox have been pulled out of the large piece and are now exhibited in their frames separately so that you can take a more intimate look at the psychology behind the fox and what is going on with him in relation to the Cygnus sapiens in her world. So with all of these animals, again, it's a psychological investigation. And so with the fox specifically, I was thinking about this idea of like you're either helping or hurting yourself or someone else. And I actually had a dog that actually these past few years who was very, very sick. And this idea where he was kind of too smart and cunning for his own good. And so with a sick person or a sick animal, you're trying to help them, you're trying to give them these pills and these supplements, and they don't want to eat the pills or the supplements because they know that it tastes bad, but what little do they know that that's actually what's going to help them continue to live. And so I'm kind of thinking about that idea, but also when you look in the large piece, you see the fox going towards these rabbits, going to eat his prey, and the rats are actually holding him back from eating his prey. Now the problem with that is that obviously we save the rabbits, but we hurt the fox. So I often use rats and rabbits in my work kind of as opposing creatures because in a sense they're very similar animals. They're very similar rodents. They're a similar size. They frolic in the landscape in a similar way, except when they're in our cities. Rats have been plagued literally by the plague. And so they just have a really bad connotation associated with them, whereas rabbits are these cute, cuddly animals whom we all love. So I often use them as these kind of opposing animals, saying like, these are both beautiful, but for some reason, we only want to look at one of them. And that's one of the reasons why when the rabbits are the ones in trouble, the rats, regardless of their kind of differences, the rats come to help the rabbits.
Rabbits, I think what we can summarize here is that rabbits have better PR.
Yes, definitely.
Cool. All right, and then the last thing I want to take a look at is the suckling boars, and I don't even know what to ask about this. It's this, it is simultaneously beautiful and grotesque. But I'm just gonna let you go. Tell us about the boars.
Sure. This is definitely one of my favorite pieces in these vignettes, and it was one of my favorite panels actually to work on in the large piece as well. And so the boar, like I said, in the large piece, in the 3 by 11 foot panel, it does move kind of chronologically from heaven to hell in a sense. And so that's why you see more quote unquote beautiful creatures in the more heavenly landscape on the left. And as it moves over to the right, we see darker, more beastly creatures to the right, such as the boar or the bat. So when you think of something like a boar, you think of a really large, scary, dangerous animal. But upon doing research about symbolism, the symbolism would actually lead you to believe that the boar is representative of motherhood and nurture. And so it's this interesting duality where the boar, she's dangerous and she's beastly, but that's because she needs to be for her young. So here I'm letting you take a second look at the boar and see her for all her beauty.
Yeah. Well, there you go. So when you come and see this, you can see if you can pick out some of these characters. Elizabeth, thank you so much. You are a fascinating person, a very talented artist, and I don't know, of all the reasons that you had to be attracted to this school as opposed to other schools available. We're really lucky to have you here. This is Elizabeth Jean Younce. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
I just want to welcome you all back to the second half of this wonderful musical evening. The concert will conclude at 7 o'clock. But the good news is this. We will be starting the concerts again in the fall, which will run through the spring. And thank you. And if you are longing to hear these young people, you can always go on our website where we actually have under About, we have videos, and we have all the videos of these concerts on our website. So if you are longing to hear their music again, you can hear it. So I just want to thank Les. I want to thank the students for the incredible work that you've done and for bringing this great program to Tandem Press. Thank you so much. Thank you for coming, everybody.
Don't forget the ramp, guys. Ramp, 2 heads in, 1 head out, 2 solos, 2 goes, 2. All right, as promised, we're back. And we said before that all the music we play is written by somebody in our UW Jazz program. As it turns out, that's just a wee bit of a fib, but in spirit, not really, because that piece of music we just finished was written by a Chicagoan who just happened to be our very special guest last week. It's Mr. Marquise Hill, a very, very respected trumpet player on the scene today, and he was our guest for about 4 days last week, and we had concerts and teaching and rehearsals and coachings and all kinds of things. Had a real great time. And so to keep that memory alive, we decided we'd play one of his compositions today. We made him an honorary UW sophomore while he was here. So I guess that wasn't a fib after all. Right? Let's go back to some music written by people who are right here on the stage with us. This next composition is from our trombone section, Mr. Steve Beta. He calls this one Even Steven. Get it? Steve writes this. Yeah. Okay. Even Steven. Once again, the writing talents of Steve Beta. All right, another one of our internal writers, Mr. Jordan Kowalski, who's our drummer. He calls this one something. We were hoping by the end of the semester that it would be something, but he's stubborn. He keeps it something. All right, you've met a few people in the band already, but now let's have a formal introduction and do the whole thing, right? You just met Mr. Jordan Kowalski. Meet him again, our drummer. Aidan Steer is our bass player. The handsome gentleman at the keyboard is Mr. Tyler Lustig. And from all the way down on your right, once again, Steve Beda, our trombonist. Trumpet and flugelhorn chores taken care of by Mr. Jack Mulvey. And my fellow saxophonist is Nick Urban. And my name is just plain Les. So we're going to fill out our program today with a pair of pieces. They kind of go in sequence pretty well. It's based on a very wonderful novel that was written back in the 1960s by, I think I'm safe in saying, one of Brazil's foremost novelists ever, Mr. Ore Amado. And he has a marvelous, marvelous book titled Dona Flor and Her Two Husbands. Anybody know that book? It had a little bit of popularity in English translation in America decades ago, but it's always fascinated me that Dona Flor is this very, very nice, very beautiful woman, and she's married to a bon vivant, to put it mildly. He chases all the ladies, and he won't hold a job, and he sleeps till noon, and all the things we all dream about, and you know. And so he finally drinks himself to death and dies very young, and she's kind of heartbroken. And then she meets Dr. Teodoro. Dr. Teodoro is a pharmacist, a very upright citizen, and he proposes marriage. And for security's sake, she says yes. Well, Dr. Teodoro, for all of his fine qualities, is a very dull person. Right? And he's upstanding. He provides well. He's devoted. But you know, he's not that first husband, right? But and the first husband, of course, this is great. His name is Vagino, and that is the correct pronunciation of this woman-chasing guy. These great writers knew what they were doing, right? So she wishes she had Vagino back. So she goes to see the Conjure Woman, and they were able to bring Vagino back from the spirit world. So while she's married to Dr. Teodoro in our world, she's continuing her life with Vagino in the spirit world. She has it all. She has it both ways. And it's a very, very entertaining and amusing novel. So those characters fascinated me. So I wrote a piece for Dona and a piece for Vagino. I've always thought I really should write one for Dr. Teodoro, but I'm afraid you'd all go to sleep in the middle of it. So I put that one off permanently. But so here we are, two different angles on Southern Brazilian flavor and culture. Dona Flor and one of her husbands, Vagino. Thank you very much. Good night.